Hey guys, some things have changed since my last Shaco guide, mainly the builds, so I'm gonna run you through them, some invade tactics and ganking. Let's get this started. So let's start this off with the old best build. Keep in mind, this is all my opinion that I got from research and trying it out myself. The old build used to be getting Blue Warrior and then either Hydra or more of Mormoditus. After that, just mostly any tank items like Deadman's Blade or anything that fits the situation. You will notice that I only show the core here with the little animations because everything else is completely reliant on the anime team. If it's more AD, AP heavy and so on. Now this build still works quite fine, but the build I've found does everything this one does, but better. So I'm gonna keep that one for the last build. Let's move over to two fun builds that can carry in the right situation. First one being the Devourer Rageblade build. Situations where you're going to build this one are, for example, you can't really gank a lot, the enemy team doesn't have any heavy bursters, but tanks that do damage over time. If the enemies have a lot of burst champs, you take way too long to fight anyone. But if the fights last for days, then this is the right build to build. And it's funny to see how people underestimate you when you have your Rageblade and Sated Devourer with Red Smite. The next build is probably the one that makes the enemy tilt the most, the full 80 crit Shaco. There are many different full 80 builds that I have seen online, but this one seemed to work the best for me. The start is the same as the old build by just getting Blue or Red Smite and then Hydra, but then you follow up with a Statics, Infinity Edge. After that you can round it up with any AD item really. I would not recommend using this in rankeds though, but when the enemies have a ton of squishies, this can be really effective. And now, in my opinion, the most effective build there is. Before I go into detail, let me just show you the build. You start off with Blue Warrior, followed by Titanic Hydra, and as the last core item, Death Dance. Now when I first heard of this, I just thought that it was garbage. That the normal Hydra is way better and more well-rounded, and Death Dance is such a clunky item that nobody really knows why you should build it. And also I thought that Titanic Hydra and then Death Dance, I thought you should build tanky after that so you get more benefits of it. But let me tell you, with this build, you're tanky, you can still burst down the squishies, and I actually feel like you can burst them down better than before because the proc of the Titanic Hydra is so amazingly strong and it helps you in the team fight as well. Everything just combos really nicely with your clone. Death Dance damage reduction works on the clone. The giant AoE is way better than from the small one from the normal Hydra. And also if you then get a Sunfire, you just have so much gimmicky damage that is fun to build and fun to look at and is really effective. I don't really know what to say much more about this build. I would just recommend you to go on a normal or just go on a ranked whatever and try it out in the next game you play. And tell me how it went. For masteries, I always take Thunderlord and Bounty Hunter. You can take Oppressor if you want, but I normally just get fed off a lot of different lanes so you can stack the damage pretty quickly. For runes, everyone has a preference, but I'm going to blend in the ones I use at the moment. Now that we're done with the builds, let's move over to probably the most asked questions that I get: how to invade and gank. There are two main invade routes that I use. The basic one is killing the bot-sided buff with your boxes, then moving over to the enemy jungle, skill your Q first to jump over the enemy buff's wall, after that try to kill off the jungler and steal the buff. Something to note as well is that you should not smite your red buff. You have enough damage with your boxes and will take little to no. For me this is something that is crystal clear, but when you start off you don't know these little details, so I will try to make it as basic and detailed as I can. For the second route you start off the same way you did before, but now you move over to the buff that is on your left side after you finished your bot-sided one. For example, when you started red, then you move over to your blue. Pretty simple. After you've done that, do the crooks or the crumb, depending on the side. Now it gets a little bit tricky. You have to guess how fast the enemy jungler is or if he can even do a full clear. If he can't, then you either just take his buff, wait for him, or don't do this at all. Depending on how fast you think he is, you can also do the crab to heal up a bit. After that, jump over the enemy jungler buff wall and try to kill him and steal his buff as well. When you end up on your blue the second time, then of course you kill the enemy's red buff, just to make that clear. You don't move over to his blue buff, he will probably be gone there. Something a lot of people ask as well is how to react when something different happens, like the top laner appears because it's warded and so on. To that I say, watch your minimap. If any lane leaves, either retreat or tell your lane to follow up. Try to set up an ambush with your traps. The easiest way to get better at this, of course, is just to try it out. Now for the last segment of this video, the ganking. I talked about this before and nothing has really changed. Just get onto the lane you want to gank, either Q when you think it's safe enough or use the Q to get him when he flashed. Place a box behind him, so if he tries to retreat, he gets feared by the box. Then hit him a couple of times and use all your abilities, your E-slow. Just pretty basic. So yeah, this was my little updated guide to 6.7 Shaco. That's the one at the moment. When something notable changes, I'm going to make another one. I thought this build change was big enough to make another video about it. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions or disagree with something or have suggestions as well, I hate that word, then feel free to ask me anything. I hope you're having an amazing day. Check out my Twitch in the description below and goodbye.